Robert.
Okay.
Darn it.
After being beaten by the Green Bay Packers in the 1966 NFL Championship game, the Dallas Cowboys dedicated the cruel months of July and August to an eventual rematch with the world champions.
Good one.
Nothing contributed more to the Cowboys' quest for football supremacy than their outstanding defense. It was called the Doomsday Defense, and this is how Doomsday played the game. It was the inspired and destructive qualities of Doomsday that led the Dallas Cowboys to another Eastern Conference title and their second appointment with destiny. The source of strength for the Dallas attack was the offensive line, consisting of Ralph Neely and Tony Liscio at tackle, John Nyland and Leon Donahue at the guards, and veteran Mike Conley, who replaced the injured Dave Manders at center. It was their job to pry apart a defense for Cowboy runners and allow Dallas quarterbacks and receivers time to consummate their intricate patterns. Though not as devastating as in 1966, the Cowboy offense somehow managed to find the key to victory in games where Dallas turned from the vanquished into the victors in the space of seconds. For head coach Tom Landry, the 1967 season brought its share of frustration. The player he looked for in time of crisis, quarterback Don Meredith. Hoping to put together two great seasons in a row, Meredith suffered through an injury-blighted campaign that saw him miss all or parts of 4 games. When he was healthy, Meredith directed the Cowboy offense with flair and precision. One of the most colorful players in football, Meredith lent glamour and style to the Dallas Cowboys, a style that demanded nothing less than victory and a Capital Division championship for Dallas. But 1967 proved to be a season of punishment for Meredith. A succession of injuries forced Tom Landry to start third-year quarterback Craig Morton, who performed brilliantly. Big, strong, and durable, Morton displayed that certain winning quality that portended future greatness. No receiver was ever out of range of Morton's powerful arm. An even more important asset was a quick, alert mind, as both he and Meredith directed the most complex offense in pro football. From a variety of formations or sets, the Cowboys sought to confuse their opponents. An important weapon was the reverse screen pass, designed to take advantage of the defense's lateral flow. A more orthodox strategy was the flanker screen, utilizing the Cowboys' superior team speed. The halfback pass kept the defense honest on sweeps and scored 4 touchdowns in 1967. The end around was fashionable this season. The Cowboys used 3 different receivers, and no one was more effective than number 82, Frank Clark. The diversified attack made the defense wary of the unexpected and gave a Dallas setback like number 30, Dan Reeves, a chance to showcase his varied talents. Reeves is as dangerous a receiver as he is a runner whose dazzling moves and intelligent approach allowed him to score 24 points in a single game. But the man Dallas fans came to cheer was fullback Don Perkins. Perkins was the NFL's 6th leading rusher and gained over 800 yards in 1967. Running almost solely inside tackle, Perkins was counted on to supply the tough yards. The yards that would carry a team from the shadow of their goal line and across the end zone of the enemy. If there was one man the Dallas offense counted on to provide the spark, the impetus, it was Don Perkins. It was he who many times gave them an important victory, another tomorrow. The Dallas setbacks complemented a talented array of Cowboy receivers. To them went the glory of the long touchdown, the one play that could change the outcome of any game. There is no one more feared in football than Bob Hayes, the man with the flashing smile and flying feet, the man who runs like the restless wind. The phantom receiver who can vanish and reappear in an instant. Coupled with the speed that made pursuit and tackling angles empty phrases, Hayes possessed the elusiveness to guide him out of the danger zone. Number 84, tight end Pennis Norman, was used extensively as a blocker and gave Cowboy quarterbacks more time to locate receivers like Lance Rensel, number 19. In his first year as a starter, Rensel blossomed into the NFL's 6th leading receiver. In one afternoon against Washington, he caught 13 passes for 223 yards, the best mark for any receiver in 1967. Though suffering through occasional moments of inconsistency, the Dallas offense remained one of the most explosive in football. The Doomsday defense was the catalyst for Dallas' second summit meeting with the Packers. It was a defense that threatened a runner with one kind of extinction and quarterbacks with another. The Cowboys fielded the toughest defense to run against in the league. Dallas allowed the fewest first downs and yards gained rushing in the NFL. The tackles blended experience and youth. All-Pro Bob Lilly, number 74, lent maturity to young giant Jethro Pugh, who made John Unitas' afternoon in Memorial Stadium a memorable one. Number 71, defensive end Willie Towns, is mobile, aggressive, and a deadly tackler in the open field. Towns, along with towering George Andre, made quarterbacks disappear. The Cowboys seldom blitzed, but when they did, corner linebackers Chuck Howley, number 54, and Dave Edwards, number 52, made the tactic a damaging one. Number 55, middle linebacker Leroy Jordan, rounded out the second network of defense. The deep defense was led by number 34, Cornell Green, a perennial All-Pro selection who unquestionably had his finest year. Green, along with Mike Johnson, Mike Gector, and Mel Renfro, played a gambling style of pass defense. Their style was so spectacular because their blazing speed allowed them to overcome any momentary error and turn disaster into opportunity for the offense. The Doomsday Defense was a group of brilliant individual stars, unified to stop the offensive flow, make it back up, and find a new direction. The impact of the defense was evident throughout the Cowboys' drive for their second straight Eastern title. It was to be a typical Redskin game for Dallas, and one to set the tone for 3 straight games. Don Meredith's touchdown pass to Lance Rensel late in the third period gave Dallas a 10-7 lead. The advantage lasted until there was less than 2 minutes to play when Sonny Jurgensen and Charlie Taylor combined to give Washington a 14-10 margin. Faced with a similar situation last year, Dallas drove from their 3 and kicked the winning field goal. Today, 3 points would be meaningless. Don Meredith drove Dallas within striking distance when disaster struck. A Redskin blitz buried Meredith as time was running out. Victory and defeat were separated by only 18 seconds. Meredith sent all his receivers to the right side but one. Dan Reeves slipped down the left sideline and, an eternity later, caught the winning touchdown. The sudden joy of victory was to be later tempered with the sad news that Dallas would lose quarterback Don Meredith for the next 3 games. The Cowboys returned to play the New Orleans Saints at the rain-drenched Cotton Bowl. Against the Saints, the Cowboys did little offensively and spent most of this dreary Sunday staving off near defeat. The Doomsday defense denied New Orleans time after time until late in the last period they seemed certain to run out of miracles. Fumbles, interceptions, and the absence of the big play disrupted the Cowboys' attack until finally the Saints moved to the 6-yard line with just over a minute to play. The Saints, within range of the biggest upset of the season, fumbled, and Dallas escaped with their second straight last-minute victory. Against Pittsburgh, the Cowboys again alternated Craig Morton and Jerry Rome at quarterback. For both young men, it would be a long and painful afternoon. A win at Pitt Stadium is never without its bruising remembrances. At times, Craig Morton was sought out and destroyed. But when victory hung in the balance, it was he who inflicted the most destructive blow. 3 periods, the determined Steelers sensed an upset. Then, suddenly, they struck for a late fourth quarter touchdown that gave them a 21-17 lead with just a minute to play. With Dallas 78 yards from the Steeler goal, a funny thing happened on the way to an upset. Craig Morton, on a rollout option, threw to Lance Rensel, who made the catch, but then fumbled. Trailing the play was Dan Reeves, who alertly recovered the loose ball on the Steelers' 6. With 32 seconds to play, the bench stood unbelieving. Forced from the pocket, Morton scrambled until he found Pettis Norman free for the touchdown. It didn't seem possible, but the Cowboys had found a brand new way to win a game in the last second. For 3 weeks, Dallas had tantalized opponents by giving them a taste of victory, only to snatch it away in the waning moments. After a loss to the Philadelphia Eagles, the Cowboys came home to meet the Atlanta Falcons. Don Meredith was healthy again, and the Cowboys produced their best offensive show of the year. The offense regained the luster missing during the first half of the season, and the blocking of the line was crisp and decisive. Reeves came up with the NFL's best one-game performance by scoring 4 touchdowns. The defense also played magnificently and limited Atlanta to just 7 points. When Leroy Jordan ran back a pass for a touchdown, it was the 3rd time a Cowboy linebacker would score with an interception. The 37-7 rout of Atlanta gave Dallas the momentum they needed when they met the St. Louis Cardinals on Thanksgiving Day. The close contest that most predicted was shattered by a blistering Cowboy attack led by Bob Hayes, who scored 3 touchdowns as Dallas rolled up an insurmountable lead. However, the real star of the game was the defense, which won practically every skirmish and finally the war. Number 23, Johnny Rowland, came to Dallas as the NFL's 2nd leading rusher. Caught in the mix-master crush of the Cowboy defense, he could manage only 27 yards on 15 attempts. A withering rush was applied to young quarterback Jim Hart, and he succumbed to the pressure, as did veteran field general Charlie Johnson. As a fitting tribute to their efforts, the defense climaxed the satisfying evening with a safety. The 48-21 triumph set up a rematch with the high-scoring Eagles. Defeated in Philadelphia 21-14, the Cowboy game plan was stamped with revenge. The outcome was evident from the start, as a total team effort sent the Eagles careening to a 38-17 defeat. The Dallas Cowboys were champions of the Capital Division. Their appointment with destiny was only a game away if they could defeat the Browns in the Eastern Divisional Playoff. Since the 1967 season was built on the dream of winning the NFL championship, the Browns never stood a chance.
Football, colors for the game. Hello, John. Football souvenirs. Colors for the game. Go ahead.
go into him a little quicker. Don't even force him outside. Drive him back.
Oh, you talking about kickoff return? Kickoff coverage?
Yeah, punt this time. That's fourth down.
Punt return, yeah.
This time.
I got to figure out how to do it.
Bobby always broke other things. All right, let's go.
For Cleveland head coach Blanton Collier, it would be the bleakest day of his pro football career. The Cowboys had used a sustained drive for their first touchdown. But for the last several years, Dallas fans have grown accustomed to the lightning play that swiftly executes an opponent. Death knell was only seconds away as Don Meredith and his receivers plotted the game-breaking blow.
I saw the safety over, but he came back in.
He didn't want to take off for a deep post.
Right. My fault. It was my fault not get the field. Got with the field, Melvin.
Hey, Joe.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to confuse you. I'm just saying that they're going to wheel or roll the narrow side of the field, probably. That's what they've done. They've wheeled me every time since that time. That was the wide side.
Okay.
So maybe I'll hit a cheap one. If not, we can hit the sideline of the wide
All
side.
right, good enough.
One side defense, let's go, baby! Inside, Justin, inside! Get to it, get me! Hey, we're going! We're going, Bobby, all right! We're here!
The game ended the way it began, with a Cowboy touchdown. After 15 tough games, Dallas had kept their appointment with destiny. So now it was Green Bay in the bitter chill of a Wisconsin winter. The Packers jumped off to a quick 14-0 lead like they did in last year's NFL championship game. But the Cowboy defense stiffened, wore down the Packers, and finally forced a fumble by Bart Starr, which George Andre recovered for a touchdown. Later, a field goal by Danny Villanueva closed the gap to only 4 points at halftime. There was no more scoring until the fourth quarter, when the Cowboy offense, unspectacular till now, fooled Green Bay with a 50-yard scoring pass from Dan Reeves to Lance Rensel. The touchdown gave Dallas the lead for the first time, 17-14. The Cowboys maintained the slim lead until their destiny was just more than a minute away. The Packers had the ball. One last chance for victory. For the second straight year, the Cowboys had lost to Green Bay in the last minute. But the despair of defeat could not eradicate the giant strides that Dallas has made in their 8 years in the NFL. Strides that have carried them from a struggling expansion team to the undisputed power in the Eastern Conference. Soon, all their hopes and dreams will become a reality, and in one electrifying moment, the Cowboys will have left everyone behind.